Hi everyone, Derpy Bay here, and everyone knows I'm obsessed with Little Nightmares, and pretty much I'm gonna do a video on the ending. So, like every video, this will contain spoilers. If you want to avoid any spoilers involving the ending of Little Nightmares 2, I suggest you stop it here, because I'm going to summarize the characters, the ending, and I'm going to go over the nature of it, but also going to mention multiple theories towards the end of the video. So, yeah. Alright, well, with that said, let us get started. Mono's fate is one that is just far too sad. The reason being that over the course of the game, we've grown attached to the little guy. The game puts us in his shoes. We get to see the challenges he has to go through in this twisted, tormented world. Standard gameplay design, we root for him because we are the player and we are playing as him. Though Little Nightmare fans who have read into Mono's character, his fate becomes much more tragic. Mono wears a bag over his head, not as a fashion statement, but as a way to block out the world that exists. The world that hates him. It's his way of coping. Now, I'm not saying we've all done what Mono has done, but anyone who's ever shut themselves out or had some form of item that helped them calm their insecurities can relate to this. Plus, I think at one point in our lives, we've all been through a stage where we think the world hates us. This could have been from childhood or years later. A good example is those who have struggled to make friends growing up, or those that have just been through hard times, such as being bullied. Mono is the underdog in this story. The world of Little Nightmares is a bully. Children are subjected to cruel and twisted monsters and dread-filled locations. One can only imagine the emotions that our heroes feel as they traverse this wretched world of fear and malformed beings. I've been asked by people, how can I relate to such a character who barely says any other word other than hey? One just has to imagine themselves in the shoes of the protagonist, to see the world from their angle and their view. Mono found someone in this wretched world, someone who didn't try to kill him. Mono understood that she was like him, scared and trapped in a world that's destined to be cruel to them. This is why I believe Mono did his best to look out for her. He had finally found someone who wasn't a monster, who wanted to be his friend. They needed each other to help traverse this world. There are plenty of moments in this game where Mono is separated from Six, yet he does everything he can to reunite with her. He even goes into the more dangerous territories while she waits behind in a safer location, while he's fetching the item they need to progress on their journey. I know what you're thinking, why am I so focused on the friendship of two characters who don't say a word to each other than hey and here? But the truth is, their actions play an integral part to the story, and especially the role in Mono's life. Mono's tale isn't one with a happy ending. It's a tale of tragedy, deceit, and betrayal. It's a tale where we root for these characters, we want them to reach their goal, we want them to have a happy ending. A world where it isn't a fight for survival. This is what makes it all the more sadder when they don't get what they deserve. At the start of the game, Mono finds himself in a forest, and after traversing and avoiding a few traps, he arrives at a cabin where he meets a very familiar face to the player, the protagonist of the first game, Six. After escaping the forest, the two enter the Pale City. This is when they must deal with the school, the hospital, the streets, and most of all, the monsters that reside in this godforsaken city. Mono and Six are characters who have had to brave the world alone. They found a friendship, they became a team. The partnership between the two was a formidable one. The two were an excellent team. They managed to escape the teacher, outsmart the doctor, yet there is one who seeks to break up this team, one who is calling to Mono, one who cannot leave without the help of the lad, the Thin Man. Throughout their adventure, Mono and Six encountered televisions that Mono can sync with every time he does. The reason it's taking us multiple times to get to the door is because Six is interfering. She's pulling Mono out before he can sync properly with what's behind the door. And on the other side of that door is the Thin Man. As Mono ability grows, it seems to become harder for Six to pull him out before he can get to the door. Each time we get a little bit closer. And then, finally, he got to the door, opening it and unleashing the Thin Man. The dynamic duo is separated, Mono being smart enough to hide under a bed, and Six for some reason hiding under a table. Girl, not the brightest move. I'm telling you all now. Why would you hide under somewhere where it's very easy to see you? The goal of the Thin Man is to separate these two, which can be noted by the fact that he seems more than willing to leave the room after capturing Six. It is only when the player has Mono start to continue his journey to find Six does the Thin Man start reappearing, dead set on catching Mono before he can find her. One cannot help but wonder what is Mono's mindset in this moment. He is responsible for this. He released the Thin Man. It's his fault that his friend got stolen. He needs to fix this. He has to fix this. This motivation he has is why Mono jumps at the first sign of a way to get Six back. During Mono's endeavours, he never takes off his hat. It's his way of coping in this dark reality of a world. Yet, towards the end of the game, while dealing with the Thin Man and his pursuit, he loses it. The world may hate him, but at least he has a friend in this world. Someone out there who doesn't hate him. A person he can trust. A person he will save. This newfound confidence that Mono displays can go unnoticed if one doesn't realise how important that bag was to him. After all, it was his way of coping. And now that he doesn't need it, it shows a clear sign of major character development within the lad. It's a sign of strength. Strength he uses to not only escape the Thin Man, but to defeat him, and set out to save his friend. This is all starting to sound like a happy ending, isn't it? The hero gaining the confidence they need to defeat the villain. If only that was the case. But remember, at the start of this video, I said Mono's tale is one of tragedy, a fate far too sad. Mono enters the signal tower and after some puzzle solving, manages to find his friend. She is now transformed into a monster, with a fixation on a music box. No, monster isn't the right word. The better word is a nightmare. The last boss of the game is the protagonist of the first game. It isn't the Thin Man, it's Six, his one true friend. Mono realises the only way he can get her back is to destroy the music box. In his efforts to destroy the music box, he causes Six to cause a lot of damage to the tower, and given the fact the music box seems to have some kind of dark energy in it, when it's destroyed, the tower begins to crumble, but Six has returned to normal. As the tower begins to collapse, the two begin to make their escape. There's a fleshy substance on the walls, there's eyes, it's weird, and Mono, finally having his friend back, hastily makes his escape with her. As they begin to flee, there's a gap. Mono must now rely on Six. Jumping across the gap, having all of his faith in her, he grabs onto her hand, and expects her to pull him up. After all, it's what they would do as they traverse the city. Why would it be any different now? This, however, is a tale of a hero, but it is also the tale of a hero that doesn't get what they deserve. It seems from Six's point of view, this is a tale of someone who has outlived their usefulness, and has become much more trouble than they are worth. Six decides their partnership must now come to an end. Staring down at him for one last look at her friend, her companion, before finally letting him go, letting him plummet into the abyss below. Then she begins to make her way out. This is tragic to the player. The entire journey has been a tale of how friendship can overcome the world, yet for Six to just throw the friendship away, to discard Mono, it's heartbreaking. This is something that makes Mono extremely relatable. We've all had friendships end. Granted, none of my friendships ended with someone dropping me off a cliff, but what I'm saying is, we all know what it's like to have a friend suddenly no longer want to be our friend anymore. We wonder, what have we done wrong? And by putting ourselves in Mono's shoes, it must be easy to imagine what he was thinking. What had he done that made her drop him, to betray him like this? They both could have escaped. Mono must have had so many questions. Was any of their friendship real? Did any of it matter? Or was he just a means to the end? Awakening in the belly of the beast, the signal tower isn't just a building. It's some form of fleshy eldritch abomination. As we progress through this fleshy hellhole, we see all that remains is nothing but a single chair. One could even call it a throne of despair. Mono takes his place on it, realizing there is no way out. No one is coming back for him. His one true friend, it didn't matter. That friendship now was tainted. One could say it never really existed. He has no one in this world. A world that truly does hate him. All he can do now is sit on that chair and wonder why. Why did she drop him? As the Eldritch's eyes gaze on him, it's almost as if they're enjoying it. The tower begins to surround him in the fleshy substance, almost like a cocoon, before the tower returns back to its building-like state. This is when the metamorphosis finally takes place. The damage has been done. He never gets up from that chair. He grows, having resigned himself to this tragic fate. And who can blame him? That friendship meant everything to him. It's only obvious he would feel betrayed and depressed. This is yet another way Mono is relatable, specifically to players who have ever dealt with depression. I speak from personal experience as someone who has gone through depression, and it makes it all the easier to imagine. The symptoms of depression can be different for people, but usually some of the most common ones are feelings of hopelessness, sadness, and a lack of motivation. Mono is hopeless right now. Mono is sad. Mono is sad because of what Six did, and he lacks motivation to carry on. Instead, he stays here. As time goes on, he grows. No one is coming for him. No one is coming to save him. The signal tower sustains him as he wallows in this horrible state. As time passes through, he changes. He ages, and his current state only gets worse. Each time the scene transitions, the colour behind Mono washes away, going from a bright pink to a washed out blue. One could say that the developers of Little Nightmares are using the colour to represent the change, the last shred of Mono's emotions withering away, as all that will remain now is a husk of sorrow and sadness. Mono's transformation finally complete. We, the player, have watched him grow into an all too familiar entity. The Thin Man. The camera zooms out, and the door closes, and that is Mono's tale. A boy who only wanted a friend, yet suffered a fate that was just far too sad. As for Six, she does appear in the game's secret ending, surprisingly emerging from a television, only to find a glitched static version of herself staring at her, and then looking at a poster of the Maw before vanishing. Six's stomach then rumbles as she now hungers. That is the tale of Little Nightmares 2. And like always, it has left us with so many questions. Why did Six drop him? Will there be a way to save Mono from such a twisted fate? If Mono is the Thin Man and Six discovers the Maw in the secret ending, does this mean that we're in some kind of crazy time loop? What does the secret ending mean? Will there be a Little Nightmares 3? Or what could they have in store for us with DLC? If you managed to stick this far with me, well, congratulations, I don't know how you did it. I'd love to know what you thought of the video. I'm still new to editing, and I'd love to hear your Little Nightmare theories, and pretty much what you thought of the game, and what you think of its endings. As always, if you could drop a like and comment, or even share this to people you know who are interested in Little Nightmares, I would really appreciate it. It really would help me out a lot. And yeah, I don't know what else to say other than look after yourself and let's pray for some DLC that hopefully saves our boy. He did not deserve to become the Thin Man. Alrighty, bye!